Hey guys, welcome again to Two Guys in Hockey Talk, Season 4, Episode 27. We are like 2/3 the way into our season. We only go to free agency, man. Free agency. I'd like to welcome my co-host here, Pavel the Cat Insider. Not because he has cat-like reflexes like Felix Podfan, but because he is Pavel and knows all about cats and he has the inside information for you. Welcome, buddy.
I do, and I'm doing well. And I played a game last night in ball hockey, and we had some fun. And Elias was saying that I may be the cat, but I have sloth-like reflexes. And actually, one of the guys that I was playing against in the opposite team we play in the playoffs, it's it's a ride or die, so it's elimination game on Saturday. But the guy's jersey on the back of the name was Potfan. His last name was Potfan. So I was kind of chirping him, and I was like, "Oh, Felix Podfan over here. We're gonna see some action." And he had a few jokes, and I'm not gonna repeat what he said, but all in good taste, So everything you're saying came true, just in a different way. So
man, so for all of you guys out there, we talk all things hockey, so right now we just started off because Pavel is in the ball hockey right now, and I want to go back to a story on ball hockey. So I am about 23 years old. I have played a little bit of ball hockey, but it's mostly all been in goal. They decided to put me on defense. Now, remember, when I'm playing, I mostly played football. Outside of a goalie, I was not usually a skater, but I was defensive because I was a safety and a corner and a halfback. And so we were playing in the Santa Rosa, that's what it was called at the time, facility in Edmonton and in Alberta, for those that aren't familiar with that, in Canada, in Western Canada. And I was so pumped, and I was like, play your position. So the guy's coming down, and he's got this breakaway coming at me, and I'm kind of treating it like a football play. I have my stick on, as we say, keep your stick on the ice and your head up. My head was up, and then as he was coming, I planted like I was a football player, and I leaned in, and he just crunched into me and fell like, basically, it was like me beating up a rented mule. He just went down. Everyone came running in. People started jumping me. Afterwards, they wanted to fight me in the parking lot. It was a crazy time. I was like, guys, this is ball hockey. And they were like, yeah, but how would you like to be destroyed out there on the ice? I'm going to destroy you out here in the real world. It's like, oh, man.
Must have been a lot of scouts out in the stands if they were playing that intense. So welcome, everyone. We are having another episode here Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We'd love for you to tune in every Wednesday. Make sure to give us a follow on Facebook, on Twitter. You can follow at Revenev or me at Hockey_2. You can give our YouTube channel a follow. Right? Remember that we are connected with Sports Empire. They have some great sport content about everything. I tuned in a few times. I was egging them on a little bit and throwing my comments, and it was fun banter about NBA. We're all hockey, but they were NBA, amongst other sports, so that's cool. So give them a follow. They're really cool. We're also on Spotify. If you missed our episode, Absolutely. We love it. Evan, we got a lot to get through this episode. Yeah. But first, do you have your
Before we do that, though, before you take your bounce, I just want to make mention our new website is being built right now. And so our new sponsor and partner is JR Web Designs. So if you're looking for a sponsor, yes, we got a sponsor. Someone likes us, Pavel. But that means our website is in the midst of going up. That means all of our former guests, you're going to be able to connect with them through all their feeds, as well as all writers. So we're inviting writers of hockey. You want to write poems. You want to write about a particular team. You want to write about prospects. You want to write about Russian hockey. Anything. If you got jokes about hockey, you just want to take out all your frustrations in your writing. Now, just remember, not everybody may actually like what you're writing, so you may not get a lot of hits. But, hey, you can let it sit there. But we want to be a source for you guys where it's a one-stop shop. You come in, you can see the former guests. As well, if you want to follow our podcast, you're going to be able to follow our podcast by just going onto our website, and it'll link into our YouTube channel. And then you can also share that out with everybody else. So we're trying, between the Sports Empire Network and JR Web Designs, we're trying to make that happen. One last thing before we get into a whole bunch of stuff here today.
Is this your rant? You need that logo on the bottom, Evan's rant.
Do I need the rant right now? Do we need to get this going? Not yet.
Well, you're ranting about something.
No, I'm not ranting, man. I'm excited.
On our website, which we love. I love
okay.
People don't realize you can have a
good
rant,
rants are
not
good.
just a bad rant. And this is a positive rant, right?
Okay, Ev's positive rant. Pavel's positive rant. Anyway, I do want to mention we do have a contest going on. So if you could put it in the comment section for us, Pavel, so then I can just highlight it. So this device is a neck piece. We had Sports Plus on a couple weeks back. They have donated this neck brace. What this does is it helps train you. It's a training tool so that your head has to stay up. You cannot bend it down at the front while you're training and working with the puck, because all players with their stick handling want to look down. And this actually helps train those players. Great. So we are giving this away to someone. And all you have to do in order to get this is you just need to go on, and then you just have to click on to our email and email us at 2guyshockeytalk. So 2guyshockeytalk, not 2guys but 2guyshockeytalk at gmail.com. Did we misspell it?
That one right there.
Okay, let's right one up. 2guyshockeytalk at gmail.com. And we only have till, I don't know if there's 30 or 31 days. And then we are going to take the winner. We're going to put it all together, and whoever sent their emails, we're going to pick a winner. And then that winner will actually get the email sent to Sports Plus, and they will get that device. So I think it's a wonderful device. Okay, enough of our advertising, enough telling you about the fun. It's time to talk some hockey, buddy. Let's talk hockey. Where would you like to start?
We got a lot to get through. Do you have your beverage, by the way?
Okay, I got it. I got a rock star today.
Well, I got coffee, and I do have a beer, but I'm holding off. I'm trying to warm up, and then I'm getting into it.
Imagine if I go from a rock star to a beer. I might as well put them together. All right.
We're gonna go up and down. Where do you want to take us off? There's so many topics to discuss.
Okay, let's start off with Carson Briere. Update us.
Right.
I believe that you've been following some of that too.
Yeah,
so last week we talked.
A was suspended from the university. The university. This is not the first time he's been suspended from a university, let alone kicked out of one. But at the same time, there has been some charges pressed for the damages he did to the wheelchair. Now, I know you and we discussed it last week about kind of the actions, what it looked like, that it was uncalled for, unnecessary, the cost of a wheelchair, that whether or not he was under the influence and to how much, that's between him, the judge, his friends, but he acted recklessly. The girl who was the owner of the wheelchair, she's okay. She reached out through social media, thanked everyone for all the donations, the support, the love. So we appreciate that. Seeing the community come together, and it looks like he's apologized through the Flyers organization, and it looks like he's gonna have to work on a little bit of rehabilitation and learn how to maybe give back to the community. Now, maybe I don't know what that looks like, but he clearly was not in the right frame of mind. So you need to work on that, Mr. Briere. And I know that with his dad in the spotlight right now, you need to essentially, you need to make a good impression. You need to win back the hearts of your community. Did you take me off for the?
Well, no, I went off because I was disgusted by this act. No, I'm joking. I actually went over and clicked on my button and said goodbye. I'm back. Finish it up.
That's fair. It happens to the best of us. But yeah, so essentially, it's a mistake. It is magnified because of the media, like I said last week, and because of the last name. Things do happen like this that aren't always reported about, but because of the last name, it's highlighted more.
Exactly.
The actions were uncalled for, unwarranted, not needed. I think I don't want to focus predominantly on that because, we can pile on and it doesn't help. He has his punishment. The right course has been taken, and now it's moving forward and learning from those mistakes, because we want to make sure that people learn. People can be stupid. I know he's 23, and whether you believe he's a child or not, whether you believe he's developed or not, is not the discussion here. The discussion is the right protocol was taken, and moving forward, hopefully he can make amends, right, with him and the young girl. So, any thoughts?
Yeah. No, everything that you were following, I think we were along the same lines of everything. It was great to see the girl talking about any cash flow that comes in. She's going to be giving to people who are less fortunate, that maybe can't afford chairs themselves. Yeah, I didn't know she was actually downstairs in the washroom.
Yeah.
Right. No,
Yeah.
things.
And
Could you
again, and
imagine?
that's what I said last episode is like, we have to wait for more facts to appear because it's easy to pile on and jump on before we know more
Exactly.
information, right? There's stories get out so quickly nowadays with Twitter. It's hard to keep, what's it called? Keep up with all the details of what's going on. And sometimes you have to let things simmer and really uncover what's going on before you make a full assessment, right? So that's
exactly
where we're
in
at.
this situation.
Now, what I do want to talk about, and maybe
Yeah.
you'll let me, it's not a rant. I want to talk about the Calgary Flames. That's why I got them up. I love this logo. I love this team. There's been some rumblings that a few players don't want to re-sign or return next season if Daryl Sutter's behind the bench. This is my rant. It's more of a talking point, but sure, it's a rant.
Oh, we'll see.
And so you wonder with the Flames being a few points out of the playoff spot, out of a wild card spot, and Winnipeg struggling. We could talk about Winnipeg in a sec. What is going on with the Flames? They've struggled mightily this year. I know goaltending has been weak, especially with both Vladar and Markstrom. They just haven't been able to put it together. Huberdeau has been a big, massive disappointment in terms of what he's been able to bring. Given his 150-point season last year, he's had a massive drop. And so you wonder to yourself, on paper, this team is solid. We have a lot of Flames fans that watch the show. What do you guys think is the solution? Evan, where do they go from here? And do you let go of Sutter in the offseason, or do you bring him back? Or is it more for an upper management change where Brad Treliving, who is in his final year of his contract as GM, is out?
And I the Sutter move was a Treliving. Treliving took a bad situation and tried to make something out of it. I actually felt he did a pretty good job considering for the guys that he brought in. Yes, it made the team older, but those guys, Johnny was going to leave. Now, here's the thing. If you blame Treliving, if you're concerned about Sutter, that was Treliving. He brought Sutter in. So that falls under him. He's had a couple. Usually you get one more coach to walk through. Sometimes that doesn't happen. It's good timing, but Sutter's contract is still sitting, and they're going to owe him money if they let him go. So Treliving, though, if this is the last year of his contract, is it really a big deal to let him go at this time? So I think right now the board is talking, and they're trying to make a decision. Do we remove it and just bring in a new GM, and then he decides on the coach? But from personal, I actually like Sutter, but I like him as a human being, and I like him as a coach. But I believe his presence, the way he talks the game, and the way he approaches the game, not his strategy. This has nothing to do with his systems. It has to do with the correlation, the connection. I brought this up on one of our podcasts. I also brought it up on my Twitter feed. I've gone back and forth and argued with people on this. Part of the reason that those two guys aren't there is Sutter. I don't care what anyone says, and more things like you just said have been coming out. So you know what? I should probably go down and actually change that, because now it's my rant, right? Because I think, and I was going to rant about this, because I actually think Sutter is hurting the Flames. I really do. I do not think that that's what they need right now. Those players, this is one of the worst seasons. Like, how do you drop to half those points? If you think of what's happening there. Huberdeau is an incredibly good player. It does take time to adapt, but he's being expected to play a totally different game. This is like when you expect a skill player to play on a fourth line. They're changing a system and making a play and saying, you mold into it. Weegar is an incredibly good defenseman who is looking like he is the 6'7" guy now. Mm-hmm. Something's up here, right? We say this all the time. When there's smoke, there's fire. And they can't turn this thing around right now. When Toffoli and Coleman are your better players in dealing with it. What about Lindholm? I mean, totally. They got to sign some of these guys and move them back. And they need to continue. So I'm going to say there's going to be a household cleaning at the end of the season. Sutter's gone, and/or Sutter and Treliving. That's my thought.
I know there's been rumblings of Sutter potentially wanting to move up into upper management, so maybe there's something there where he would move up there. I mean, every time I see Sutter in an interview, he just looks like he'd rather be out in the field, doing farm work rather than being behind the bench. I mean, he could be a Hall of Famer. He's got 2 Stanley Cups as a coach. He's done well for himself. And He's really, enjoying himself. And I get that not everybody, buys into the system. But the problem is when teams are winning, nobody cares. You can throw that away because you're winning. You're successful. But when you're not winning, that's, you look at Winnipeg when if there was tension, and again, we'll talk about Winnipeg in a bit. Like, it happens. Now, the one thing I will say, because I've seen this on a few feeds for people, it's like, well, Daryl Sutter prefers his, veterans, his Milan Lucic, he'd rather play than Jacob Pelche. Give me almost any coach in the league, and 99% of the time, they will go with the veteran. And the reason why is because the veteran knows how to make the right play, and they are less likely to make those rookie mistakes, hence why the name rookie. So as much as I love J.K. Pelche and he has a bright future in Calgary, they're going to go with somebody older. And I don't mean specifically, Milan Lucic. It could be Trevor Lewis, could be one of the other guys, but that's what Daryl Sutter wants. It's the same thing with John Tortorella, right? He wants hard-nosed guys who block shots, and he will go with the veterans. That's what he believes in. So there's definitely changes coming to Calgary, albeit I worry about too much change. You're looking at it in Toronto right now, even after the trade deadline, and sometimes too much of a change does not do you well, and sometimes it could just be an off season and you could be right back in the playoffs given how wild the West and the Pacific is. But anyways, that's just my discussion on Calgary. So let's talk a little bit about Winnipeg, because they started strong. They were being carried by Hellebuck, who could be a Vezina final. Evan, what's been going on? I thought Rick Bowness was like a bonus.
Well, when they got Niederreiter, wasn't it Niederreiter and Namesakov?
Niederreiter,
yeah. And those guys are big boys, and they're good for playoff hockey. They're suited for that. And everyone was thinking this turnaround, including myself. I think most pundits would tell you that are out there on your mainstream and guys on the know. Most coaches would have told you they thought that would work. I felt they were overachieving before the trade, and when that came in, I thought that would help solidify a bit. But here's the thing. You cannot rely on your goalie. You cannot give up as many grade A chances on your goalie. I don't care if he's a Vezina all-star goalie or not. And unfortunately, there seems to be how confidence, when you got it, you got it. You're in the zone. And some teams are like, so Boston, essentially, they've been in the zone this year. It's like they don't care. They lose. It's like, we got the next one. It's like watching Michael Jordan back in the heyday, and for some of you guys in the newer years of LeBron in his top times and him and Kobe, or like, you know what I mean? When these guys are in the zone, they're in the zone. When Gretzky was in the zone, we see it with McDavid when he's in the zone, or Nathan McKinnon, he's in the zone. They're out of the zone, and it's hard to get back in. I think if you look at over in Buffalo, we'll just kind of leave that to the side. I don't want to talk about them really too much today. But Buffalo, it's just like they were in the zone. And then a few things happened. It changed up. They lost a bit of confidence. They're young. I honestly feel, and I know some people may disagree with me, and if you do, that's perfectly fine. You can let us know in the comments your thoughts. But leadership. I feel like there's no one to pull that team together. And when I say leadership, I mean a leadership team. There needs to be at least 3 solid players who lead by example. Like right now, let's work harder. Let's get out more. I'd like to know maybe a Legal Curve who's been on our show with Drew there before. Maybe guys like him, if you go check them out, they might tell you. But I have a feeling that all of them on optional skates, I bet you some of those main guys are not out there. That starts happening. And guys like Wheeler, the toll is happening on his body and things like that over a period of time.
He's had a solid season, but it's struggled.
I think they make it
price point. That's the problem, right? And we know that Kevin Cheveldayoff likes guys with term because it's tough to bring in players there in general, so it's, they've brought a lot of guys up. I know there's been some rumblings about Logan Stanley wanting out, and about him kind of stepping out, even though he was drafted by the organization. So really, you want to make the most of it. So we've lost Evan again. So he clearly is leaving me to do the show the whole time. Are you just like touring with me all day today?
I do not know what's happening.
The Pavel show?
I've never had this when I'm going to hit on my stuff, and I was moving over because if people don't know, I'm the tech guy behind the scenes here, and for some reason, I keep booting myself out. It's like I got nothing to say.
So
it's a mic drop. It's a mic drop.
I think that they could potentially make the playoffs, but it's going to be a tight race. And again, Nashville could still technically make up those points, and Calgary can as well. So it's kind of like, the bottom of the barrel, the last few guys fighting for scraps, and
yeah,
whoever's
I think
able
they're
to
going
kind
to
of
make it.
outduel it. So
The reason is I think they've been going in one direction too long
Yeah.
downward. It's got to turn. There's always a point.
Yeah.
Whereas the other guys are just trudging through. They can't seem to win consistently. Nashville gave up a lot of their top end guys that are going to get them those wins. So while they have games in hand, I'm worried that the good teams that they're facing down the road, and they got a tough schedule, are actually going to be a little bit more of an issue.
Now I want to bring up something quickly, and I just want your quick initial thoughts so people can write their comments as well. But there's a few teams that are now out of the playoffs, and I can't believe to say that we're like, only like 3-4 weeks away from the playoffs. But like, we had different expectations for what we thought these teams would be this year. Maybe we thought that this is what it is. But I'm going to go through 4 teams, and I just want your insight about where you thought they would be, and if this is a good move or if they have a lot of work to do in the offseason. The first one is Columbus Blue Jackets. What did you think of this past season? Because they're out of the playoffs, and with Johnny Gaudreau saying that he wants to win there and he wants to make it a mission to win there. Thoughts on Columbus this season?
Oh, I actually think that this was all planned because the moment that they knew that they were bringing Johnny in, they were preparing themselves. Johnny may not have known, but I think this was strategically in place for a chance for a good top 4, top 5 for the draft. Knowing that they have Laine, they have Gaudreau, they have Kent Johnson, who's
but they
young.
almost have no cap space with everything they signed, so they're close to the cap. Like,
okay, I can't speak to the cap space because I have not.
They may have gone down after trading Korpisalo, and then of course Quick, who is legendary. He had a quick career there.
Yeah, no, and the turnover, but
injuries I know played a big part of it. But
something seems wrong in that cap space. So we'll come back to that on our next chat around because I don't fully understand. I need to take time to look through that to mention it. But here's the thing: they're going to be bringing young players in anyway on these other new late level contracts. So whether they get the Fantilli, by the way, if Fantilli is their choice, they end up picking.
I have it right here. Their projected cap hit this year. It's 81,252,166.
What's next? What's next year?
They have 1.4 million in LTIR, and they have 2.6 million in projected cap space. So they are
okay. Next year. What's the cap next year?
For next year. Okay, so let me take a look here.
So take a look while I'm talking. So if they get a chance and they draft Fantilli, if they do not get Connor Bedard, if they get Connor, he's ready to come in next year right away. And so him coming in, he's on an elite level contract. The most that he would be paid with all the bonuses coming in would be $3 million. Otherwise, it's what is it, $950,000 on a first overall rookie or something like that with the parts. So if they get Fantilli, I could see him entering into them next year automatically. The only thing is, and some people asked about Mishkov, would they take the chance for the rebuild? No, I do not think they will. They cannot wait that long in Columbus. They have to build. So what do they get?
They will have 65 million max right now, and 18 plus available for next year. They're going to have a lot starting for the 2023-24 season.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I mean. The way they loaded it,
right? Yeah.
They made sure that there was only a few.
I think they were contenders, and I'm disappointed to see where they're at now because they had a chance. I mean,
well, and that's why I was shocked Gaudreau went.
Like Winnipeg, they struggle bringing in guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was feeling like I didn't understand why Gaudreau went there because if there were other folks that were saying they thought Columbus was going to be a contender, I saw no place for them to enter into it, and they did not have a number 1 center or even a number 2 center. The guys that they have in there are it's kind of like taking Sean Monahan even in Calgary, and God bless Calgary, but Sean Monahan was not your number 1. In Edmonton, Alberta, for the Edmonton Oilers, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was not your number 1 center. If those are the guys you're running as your number 1 centers, they're better complementary superstars is the type of guys that they become, right? So they need to be number 2s.
So second team, Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Your thoughts on their season?
Mighty Ducks, have they gone through a name change?
No, it's Anaheim Ducks. I just like to throw it in there because I'm a big fan of the series. But
I think it was the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, right?
I'm trying to bring the Anaheim fans up. Come on.
Woo! Yeah, no. I think they have a lot to look forward to. Unfortunately, poor Dallas Aikens. A lot of people believe in his coaching and the things that he can do, but he just seems to inherit teams that are trying to build, and then he takes the heat for everything, and then he's gone, and then someone else gets to inherit. They got some really good pieces. Now their defense is starting to lack. Now they have Drysdale coming in next year. Right now, though, when you look at some of the guys like Troy Terry and Zegras and Drysdale, name some for me. Who are some of the other guys they got? If you're an Anaheim fan, you can
Max Comtois is out
Yeah.
there. He's a solid guy for them. They still have Shattenkirk on the back end. Gibson is playing unreal this season again. He's really coming to his own.
And he'll be around for a year or two more while they build up.
Being traded. Yeah, I mean, they had some young prospects coming through, and
so whoever they draft,
Shattenkirk is another one. Shattenkirk is a solid depth piece.
So this is what I'll say. If when it comes time to draft time, if they do not draft, the Anaheim Ducks do not draft Connor Bedard because they do not get the first overall, I actually see them, if they can, doing the best they can to either get a good solid two-way center or the best defenseman that's in the draft. That's what I see them trying
to get Bedard because of after missing out on Crosby all those years ago.
Do we got another team?
Yeah, all right. The San Jose Sharks.
Okay, San Jose, aren't they not an interesting team? San Jose, those guys work hard. Greer's put together a hard-working team. They should not be in some of these games that they're in. They shouldn't be able to do what they're doing. Erik Karlsson, he's the ageless wonder now that he's got, I call him the bionic man because of the fact that it's like he's got a bionic legs now and he's faster than he's ever been. But his smarts with his experience, so when they played the Oilers the other night, I saw this thing that was really funny. In part, he uses some of those younger players and everyone for screens. He just makes sure he plays like he's Connor McDavid. And I think somebody told him you can be better than Connor McDavid, so that's what he's doing. And he's got more power play points than Connor McDavid. There you go.
And he has to play defense.
By the way, I think there's going to be a long discussion with him in the offseason to find out, do you want to go somewhere? And if you do, where?
Oh, most likely.
But here's the thing. A team that actually he can win on will not be able to afford the cap. So will Mike Grier be willing to eat some money and work with the third team? Because I could see a team giving up a lot, but in order to bring him in, they're going to have to get him in around 7 or 8 max, and they're going to have to give up at least a couple first rounds, maybe a first round prospect, and then a really solid, say, third or almost ready on the fringe, like a fourth line defenseman or something. But I see them wanting defensemen in back just because they want to really start to build. They love their defense in San Jose. So, but man, if they
have a small prospect pool, so they want to build it up, and that's one of the things that they discussed while bringing in Mike Grier. So that's one of the things that we talked about.
Someone said something to me. Do you think that Erik Karlsson will go if they draft Connor Bedard? So if they win the lottery, I don't think Karlsson wants to go anywhere. I think he doesn't mind sitting back and let's see what we can do.
You need, and we talked about this in previous episodes, you guys can watch, you need veterans on your team. And you talked about it at the beginning of the show for leadership to take that next step, to be able to get through that next shift, whatever it is. Like, guys, we got this. We protect the young guys. You need to shelter and surround them. If you bring in Connor Bedard to a team and there's all rookies, like if he goes to Arizona, like who's there to help out, right? Like you want there to be someone to lead and show by example.
Well, man, they got a really good player over there right now. They got a couple of really good players in Arizona right now. Yes.
No, I agree, but I'm saying bring in a long-term veteran who's played for a while. I agree. I think what Arizona has done is people have, shit on them, pooped on them, as one would say. But really, they played unreal. And Clayton Keller is having an amazing season. He could potentially be in the top 6 for Hart, given what he's putting up for points, and
exactly.
And again, there's a lot of players that are having good seasons and they're getting the most of it. So I could see the plan there moving forward. But anyways, just as an aside, you want to protect somebody. So I think Karlsson would stick around and he can mentor. He could be a direct mentor.
When I like to say the Sharks also need to hit a cap floor, right? That's really important. and he has enough cap that can help with that during the process. So, okay, let's go over to the Coyotes. Mention about in that case, right? Because they're one of those bottom feeders.
They're still in the playoff hunt, technically.
Yeah, no, they're pushing, but let's remember they got 27 million on LTIR. 27 million on LTIR. So 1/3 of their cap is LTIR. They're going to need to get some players that have some money, and I could see them getting some more first-round draft picks for taking on a few veterans for expiring contracts within a year or two. And then they can ride that while they're waiting on the new arena deal, should it go through on May 16th. I heard May 8th, but now today, Craig Morgan down from Arizona saying the 16th. There is contingency plans for something if this does not go through. But the question is, will
I
everybody
can't see it not, but I mean,
so,
anything.
No, I think this is a do or die. This is a do or die. If not, hello, Houston. And I think that's the end of the story. It really is. I don't think there's any other team. I think that is the place, number one, for TV market. Number two, because it's got to stay in the West and they don't want to move teams around anymore. If you guys want Quebec to get a team, it's going to be
what about Kansas City?
And no, I don't see Kansas City getting it. I think it's all about money and it's all about the owner. And I think it's about TV markets. It really is. And unfortunately, they would miss out on it. But I like to say, though,
final team. Go ahead.
Let me finish on the Coyotes. So on the Coyotes on that front, let's do her. Let's do her, man. Their goaltending, Connor Ingram is playing like a stud, especially at home. They have had some great records. Now, the interesting thing that I have found, looking at what they're building, they have Dylan Guenther, who has played with Connor Bedard. They would have to win the lottery, which is a very small chance. They're playing themselves out of it. They're playing so well right now. But this is what I think their list is. Number one, Connor Bedard, like everybody else. Number two, okay, this is where it goes. They want Mishkov, but not if they are drafting number two. They will take Fantilli. However, it's three. They won't even be in the 3 role. It'll be 1, 2, or they're going to be further back. And then they'll take Mishkov because Mishkov is dropped back and no one else is probably going to take him because they can wait for that period of time. So if you think about it, the worst, probably, I think 1 of 4. They're going to get Connor Bedard, Adam Fantilli, Mishkov, Matej Mishkov, or they will get Leo Carlson. That's not a bad person to add.
Those are some solid picks.
And maybe it's Houston who's going to get it. So watch this. The lottery, we're not going to know. We're going to know what's happening in that arena situation before we know what's happening in the lottery. So this could change everything. Because if they go to Houston, what's that?
Isn't May 8th also the date of the lottery?
Well, they said May 8th. No. What's the lottery date? Does anyone know? I thought it was happening
May 8th.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you're right. May 8th is the time. Hey, Kyle, how you doing, man? Welcome over here to Two Guys in Hockey Talk.
May 10th.
Guys, make sure over in the Sports Empire Network you can catch Kyle. He's got some great stuff going on over there. He is a massive Bruins fan. We have not connected yet. We're gonna as we get to the playoffs. We're gonna talk with Kyle. Yeah, Pavel's talking about everything else, and I'm talking to you guys.
I'm trying to figure out the facts.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to talk to all these great folks. I'm trying to talk to the folks in here. So Steve and Tom, I see that you're in there. Hey, guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us over here. You got some questions or some thoughts? We gladly have conversation around it. Okay, so what time? When is it?
May 8th is the draft lottery.
Okay, so they know the draft lottery, so they know what they're going to be picking as far as Arizona goes. And then May 16th is the city voting on Tempe if they're going to build that arena or not. So this actually that's going to
Arizona. Big week.
So if they win the lottery, you almost wonder if the council's going to vote to build the arena because they're going to potentially have the superstar to come in. If they don't, are they still
double jackpot or double jeopardy?
Oh man. I don't know. I'm a 50-50. I don't know about you guys out there, but I'm a 50-50 if they're going to vote positive or not, because there's been some rumblings recently. But here's the thing.
It'll be interesting.
I'm going to give it a 60-40, actually, because they're not wanting to take taxpayer dollars. They want to use levy fees and taxes around the arena and the events and stuff on the private ownership. So it makes me think unless there's someone that's worried about filling land, and this is just dry land, old dump land, could this not be a good possibility? So who would actually say no to it? I actually think it probably will happen the more I actually think about it. I'm convincing myself while I'm on the show, by the way.
All right. Final team, because we've gotten way off. And it was supposed to be a quiz.
I have it. So, dude, yeah, we're going to go there. But I got to tell you, I have a list behind my screen, behind my other screen. I have a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about. And I haven't got to talk about
I want to talk about Chicago. But quick thoughts on Chicago. Go ahead.
Okay, well, you know what? I've been yapping. You tell me, man. You tell me. What's your thoughts on Chicago? Yeah.
Honestly, it's a rebuild. I was very intrigued with Kyle Davidson and some of the moves he made in the offseason last year, but the team has played hard. I liked how Max Domi, before he went to Dallas, played this year. He's had a resurgence career, and I wouldn't be surprised if he came back in the offseason for next year back to Chicago. It's been hard with Taves being out and potentially career ending. You know, he's had a great long career. Kane wanting to the Rangers, you know, hamstringing the organization, that's been tough. Sam Lafferty and Jake McCabe going to Toronto, you know, like trading away more picks. But, you know, the team has some young prospect, and I think they're really itching to getting Bedard and trying to start a franchise again, restarting it around Bedard and bringing the glory back quickly to Chicago. That's my thoughts. However, my only rant is they recently announced today that the organization, so upper management, is going to be getting rid of the Pride event in the organization and not having it. And I'm sick of having this because they noted that it's a safety concern for their Russian players, a few of them, right? Which, come on, like, either hockey is for everyone or stop beating that dead horse, because I'm sick of this hockey is for everyone. We're inclusive, we're welcoming. And I get it. It's changed. And I know James Reimer had the whole issue over the weekend not wanting to partake. But it's a piece of fabric. It's a piece of color. It's a rainbow. It's not going to offend or upset anybody. And I don't like it when people hide behind security reasons or religion or religious beliefs in order to say that this is it. And you guys can fight me on it. I don't care. Okay. I think it's silly.
That's do just it.
Me. And we've had this discussion with
on the ice, in your head up. Yeah. Okay. No, that and then that's a rant. Yeah, we had this discussion actually about 2 months ago.
Where it started from. I'm annoyed that this is a thing.
And so I'm going to say I take a central move on this because I think this is the fault of the NHL. Because when we start bringing all these different things in, like we've been dealing with this for a while, even on anthems, because people don't realize anthems are really about the nation itself and the military and things like that. And there's people that are not for war whatsoever. They're against it, but it's pushed. When the knee was taken and he did not stand down in the South, and when we started moving in on the Black Lives Matter, and there was all these other things, and now we have the inclusivity with the LGBTQ plus. And so here's my thing, though. I heard what you said, and I can reason with what you said, and it is a piece of fabric. It's just a shirt, right? It's just a jersey. It's a short little bit of time. Yeah. But what you're saying is no matter what, you have no choice, and if you don't, you're a bigot and a racist, right? If you don't do something.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
Okay, and that's my central. I actually think it isn't a big deal. Now, personally, I'm fine. I would actually wear it. I don't really care. But I do not think it's right. And I think people are feeling they have to justify why they don't wear it. So they're telling people a reason. And I think we need to get away. You're so excited. You're knocking your camera, dude.
I'm knocking everything out.
I think that they need to quit trying to justify the reasons behind it and just say, why are we making people wear something? We can take the entire arena. We can do all these other things. But why do we have to advertise on players that are just going out to do a job? I wish we would quit doing that because we're putting people in a bad position to be. And I'm watching the people be so mean on both sides of this. And they're mean to each other back and forth. And that bothers me. Okay, no, and Zil, that's fair. You're saying the players. Let me pull up. So you're saying the players are making a big deal about it. Okay, so Zil, tell us. Do you feel they're making a big deal about it? So should they just do it, and they have to do it, or should they have a choice in the say that if they wear a pride jersey or not? I'll give you the time.
With one thing. I will counter with one thing. What did we have introduced last season in the NHL? Advertising. Advertising for advertisement for companies, both now for on jerseys, but also on helmets. Now, most companies that advertise for organizations, pretty bland, don't really do anything. But not every organization, and I can't go through the list, so I don't know. But if there's an organization that is a big sponsor of the NHL or of that organization, let's say the Washington Capitals or something, or the Los Angeles Kings, and they have poor practices of something, would the player protest about that? No, they wouldn't, because they pick and choose about things that matter to them, but it doesn't always apply. So I don't like the NHL pushing the narrative of hockey is for everyone, inclusivity, because they were pushing for that. One of the reasons why we had this whole movement is because some of the egregious actions that were taken, not only in the NHL, but also in the lower level leagues, like a Bill Peters who made offensive comments, like a Mark Crawford who assaulted a player, right? And you know, these things happened, and people, you know, or the actions taken in the Chicago organization with what happened with Kyle, and you know, what actions and repercussions were taken there? Nothing. The guy got a recommendation and he went on to continue to work. And in my mind, you either include everybody or you don't participate in this inclusivity. And my only comment that it's going to be final one.
You're on a rant, man.
It's my rant. I just hope that none of the people who are making these decisions have anyone in their lives that is part of the LGBTQ community or affected by them directly, whether they are in a vulnerable position or bullied because of being in that group and seeing that their family member chooses to do that. I do not wish on that, but things happen. Family members, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters. So be mindful, because that can really impact people. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so I got two comments here, but Zil, do you want to address them? Go ahead, do this one first, and now I'll
So Zilder says, why should I have to stand and take my helmet off for the anthem? That's not my country. Again, a political statement. I think an anthem is a political statement, and yet it's a sign of respect to stand up and you know, participate in that. Or when a veteran comes out and they get honored at a game, right? It does happen.
It is interesting, because I've been at games and people that don't put their hand over or don't take their hat off, people look at them and get mad, right? And really, should that be the way it is? I got to tell you this, Zil. So just this last week on 3 different games that I saw parts of, some I saw full and some I saw parts. I was actually watching and thinking, what about the Ukrainian? What about the Russian? What about the guy that is not American and not Canadian? And they're sitting on these teams, but we're representing the team where they're from, not the players. And so I think at one point there were mostly Canadians and Americans. And at this point, we need to set aside. Okay, Zill's got a couple comments. Let's go to the next one. You wrote, teams no players aren't yet. They still go. Players always make statements on it. Ev is right. The NHL should not have initiated if they weren't backing it. You know what I wonder, Zill? I wonder if the whole thing, they initiated this, but did the players union get together and say, this is what is happening in our workplace. So if you're going to be a player, you must support this. And then they can decide if they want a career or not. Now, I know they can say, well, I don't agree and I'm not. Well, then go play in the KHL, right? Go play in the SHL. There are other leagues you can play in. If some jobs you go to, you don't like the politics of it, but you want that position, so you'll play politics. So I like that point. They shouldn't have initiated it if they're not backing it, and I think they didn't do their homework. I could be wrong if there's someone else to bring on. And then what was else you said there, Zell? You ruled in favor of coaches saying prayer on field and players have to. What? Did you know this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, more so in football, but it's happening. There's cases like that, and it's more so. I think it was high school football. I could be wrong, but Zill can correct me. No, I'm pretty sure it was high school football. And he went to court about it.
Okay, wow, that is really sad. And again, see, that's putting a person in a position that they may not want to be in. I'm not going to use the words comfortable, not comfortable. because the truth is we all have our bias and our bigotry or whatever it is, or racism. We do deal with all that stuff, and whether we like it or not, we do. I think we all got to admit and quit standing on our own high horse with it. But that is wrong, and I do not believe that should happen. I think we've been on a rant now about 7 things.
No, I agree. I want to specify only for one thing, because you mentioned it earlier. I don't think that we should be attacking people like a James Reimer, like a Provorov, being that they are racist, that they are like bullies, that they're terrible, like bigots, etc. Because that goes too far. Like that's a little extreme. You don't have to agree with their position, and you can call them that, but it's not right, because maybe they do have some internal issue where they, for whatever reason, do not believe in whatever that is or whatever that represents. The difference is that you are working for a very publicly media publicly visible company, and you are representing a logo. You know, they talk about like, it's not about the name on the back, but on the logo or the crest on the front. You are representing that. And if you are representing that, you sometimes have to drink the Kool-Aid and buy into what that is, right? Because you are go ahead.
No. So I think most of our show and stuff we're going to talk about, we're not going to get to. By the way, I want to just take a quick I do want to take a quick moment here and just kind of mention to everybody again that you can actually follow us. So you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, over on Twitter at hockey_2, and or at Revenev on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook at Two Guys in Hockey Talk, as well as we have our website going up. So I want to say thank you to Sports Empire Network. They also put us as hockey content on, provide this venue that we're on. Thank you so much, guys. And we have a partnership with a web design company, JR Web Designs. So guys, you want a good, affordable company, get JR Web Designs. By the way, they're also going to be a writer on our site in our partnership. And they're going to be listing all of our former guests as a place to go in, find out information, everything. And we're going to be bringing in writers to talk hockey all over. Nice. And they're all going to have takes, including the topic we might be on right now.
And I also want to know what they're talking about in hockey.
Yeah, I do want to make mention that just make sure I go back and I find it. There we go. If you want to get safe and get a neck brace that allows you to train your tool, call us at 2guysinhockeytalk@gmail.com. I think I might have actually set it off. Did I have my slide so I can quickly show you guys? I dropped out last time around, so I didn't actually have it. So you can win this, heads up. It's a training tool. It is going to be only for another week before this comes off, and we are sending it out to whoever enters at 2guyshockeytalk@gmail.com. So just a heads up.
All right.
By the way, next week. I did have a question, but now I lost it because I want to talk about our great partners. Next week, we have a guest that will be on. We have a guest that we've never had on, not only a first-time guest, but someone that's going to talk hockey from a totally different angle. They are from 2112 Hockey Agents. So we will have Daryl Wolski, who is a hockey agent, has his own company as well as his own hockey league out of Brandon, Manitoba. And he will be coming on. One of his former clients actually was Kyle Beach in their company previously when he was playing, working into the NHL. They work and sign clients overseas. They have tons of people. Yep. So for some of you guys will remember names like Colton Tubert and guys like him. There's a bunch of different players. You go on their site, you can see who. They also teach you about culture, what it's going to be like when you go over there. They talk about salaries in all the different leagues. They're going to be a great follow. He's going to be a great conversationalist. He has great relationships with guys like Jerry Johansson, hockey agent out of Edmonton area. And the guy just loves talking hockey. When I chatted with him on the phone, I was just like, crap, man, I got to get off. I've been on here a half an hour sitting in my truck after work. So it's going to be exciting to have Daryl on next week. So we're going to pre-record though. So unfortunately we can't get him live. He's running his hockey league and giving out a championship next Wednesday. So we're going to pre-record him on Tuesday and then play that recording on our Wednesday show for you to give you a little bit of a backdrop. So, Bud, we only got about 6 to 8 minutes. Is there another topic
you go into the topics you wanted to talk about? Because I've ranted enough.
Okay, I want to quickly go back to something. This is probably going to be the last topic, probably, because of the Quebec banning fighting. I want to go back and I want to talk about it. The reason is this week I did a little bit more digging. I listened in on a few more things, and I wanted to find out a little bit more about banning hockey. So first of all, you got to realize there's only one fight that happens every 8 games in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. It is almost all run by government. Government, cities, and municipalities pay for those teams to be in the league, as opposed to the WHL and the OHL, which are privately owned, all those different groups, and to ban fighting. Now, here is the thing. They actually have pretty much a ban on fighting. It's not going to look a whole lot different, yet they feel that because of injuries in hockey. Now, university sports in Canada, U Sports removed fighting from their game. Again, it's political, and some of the reasons why they have to be careful and not endorse fighting. What happened immediately is stick work went up. Just because you call a penalty, because you cannot police yourself. You will police yourself with a stick. You're going to whack legs. You're going to have sword fights. You're going to hit people in the head. You're going to cross-check, because if the refs don't call it, you're going to go police yourself, or you're going to police somebody else. It gets ridiculous when people start using sticks, and that is what I am worried about. I understand that hockey is fighting in hockey is virtually gone, and most times when you get in a fight and it's just because you're mad in the moment, you can literally learn techniques how to grab and pull yourself in tight and just scramble and hold on for dear life. Who cares if they think you're a turtle like Matthew Tkachuk? He didn't turtle from Cassian on the second time. He decided to give it a go, right? But he didn't have to. He didn't have to accept that. And the truth is, only because he's a bit of a stronger boy, he did. So in that sense, I'm now looking back at U Sports, and they have troubles in U Sports and a lot of high sticking, and they had issues. If you guys want to go back and follow just right now in the U Sports Championships with Alberta, they didn't even shake hands at the end. They were worried about more things happening. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened. Guys get kicked out, but it's their last game. They're going to lose. Yeah, bad things happen. I think you got to be able to police yourself to somewhat. So I say no stage fighting, but I'm okay with fighting.
Nope, I completely agree. My only worry, and I think it's pretty well managed, is when you have players of different ages and sizes go on against each other. So if you have a 17-year-old fighting a 20-year-old, that's a big physical and age difference. Like that is where I worry. But again, a lot of players know how to intervene. And I know in the QMJHL, like not every player is going to go on to be successful. Like that is the peak. But for those that do, if they go on to play in a higher div, how are they going to prove themselves? How are they going to get into it, right? And so I think that fighting slowly over the last, since the game has begun, but even the last 30 years has really gone down. Like people don't realize in the 80s how wild brawls were, how crazy David Semenko could be, when he was out there trying to protect Gretzky. So I think it's just a losing battle. I don't know why they're pursuing this. I understand head concussions, and I think we need to have more education as to how that looks. And I think linesmen know what to look out for, refs know what to look out for, and there is better protection. And just like that neck guard that we promote, maybe that's what needs to be incorporated, or some kind of equipment. But
start teaching people to head up more. And I like that Zill's mentioning, more body and hip checks should go up. So this is the only thing. I talked to someone about this, Zill, actually this past week, someone that actually does officiating. And one of the things that they said is a lot of players are not able to because they're not fast enough or big enough and or stable enough. A guy like Kyler Yamamoto can hit you in the corner with his 165 pounds, but he cannot hit you open ice. And some players are not fast enough. You can say, well, then they don't get hit. But a guy can run around and do cheap shots, but you can't catch them. And then it's like they get away with it. So, I mean, if the refs were a little bit better. I'm tired of people defending refs. I got to be honest with you. It's kind of crazy. But the truth is a lot of good hits are being penalized. I really don't have an answer for this because nobody's going to deal with the reffing situation as long as Gary Bettman's in charge. And it's not going to change at the lower levels till the NHL asks it to start changing, say, at the AHL and experimental levels, right?
But it's already changing at that level. People are being more mindful in terms of how The game is approached. So I think this is a losing battle. I think this is, like there's no need to go to the extreme, like to completely eliminate fighting. It's like, how do we reduce it more drastically? What are the steps the league and other places can take to reduce it? Let's work on like that harm reduction model, not the whole let's cut cold turkey and we're done. So anyways, we've talked enough
okay,
about
one
it.
last. Okay, so give me one last thought. I'll give my last thought, and we'll call her quits.
I wanted to know your thoughts because this is big in the world, and it just announced yesterday. Fanatics taking over as the jersey producer and the new partners with the NHL for the next decade for jerseys for the NHL.
What I can say is, that's it.
I just hope the logos don't fall apart on the first game, on the first shift.
Man. Like, what is this? NHL, Gary Bettman, get out of here. Let's get some quality. Like, are you going to pay $200+? Maybe they're going to make the jersey $70 now. I don't know. Sorry, Fanatics.
No,
if you guys...
they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And
no, they're not. And I think
I know that there's a lot riding on this, but like, did the NHLPA have a lot of say in this? What was the decision? And again, sometimes I think the NHL and Gary Bettman and his upper management is so blinded by dollar signs that they just look for anything immediate that brings them more money. And it's not always about instant money, You know that saying is like, would you like $50 now, or would you like, $200 by the end of the week? And the NHL is just like, give me $50 now. I want it now. And it's like, relax, let it build up. You want to build a fan base. Why don't you sometimes listen to the fans? I don't understand. Yeah. Right. And I know Adidas, was up and down, but I like them. I like their retro that they did. People may have, picked which ones were their favorite, not favorite. I do buy jerseys. You buy jerseys. So we do have some investment in this. But why do I want to pay $325 for a jersey that may not be the best quality? And, I get it's going to be the same thing. But anyways.
All right.
Well, thanks for this. It is in Quebec, the factory, so it's going to boost the Canadian economy. So, bravo.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
You're not getting a team, but you're getting a boost in jerseys.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing. Those jerseys, they need to make sure there's no fighting, because those jerseys will get ripped apart when they get ripped off in a fight. Anyway, so
is it gonna be
sorry.
Like IKEA furniture where it comes some assembly required.
So Zill, I know you're mentioning there about a little bit more about refereeing. It's a quality problem, lower entry levels. Let me just say this before I give a closing mark on Connor Bedard, that we got to go out with this guy. This guy is a generational talent. But before I do that, so on the lower ranks. So I have been trying hard. Zill, if you can find me someone to come on that's an official that is reffed at professional levels and can talk more about this. I know two former people that I've been trying to get on, one AHL and one NHL, and I've got a link into a KHL guy that's done some reffing. They're not coming on. They haven't given me anything yet. I've been working on it for about 3 months, and I'm trying to be subtle with it. So hopefully we can get them on and talk a little bit more. What I have been told is look out, because the response, and everyone is liking the women refs in the juniors and in a little bit in the AHL. So that's a really good news to see that some of the refs, that the women are doing a great job out there. So, hey, hats off to them. Hopefully, maybe that's the difference. Get those guys out of there.
I would love to see more female refs in the AHL and NHL sooner rather than later. I think it's long overdue. And I think you're going to find it hasn't happened. If the NFL has been able to do it, and the NBA.
Hey, you already did your rant, man. We're in overtime already. What's going on?
It's not a rant. I'm promoting it. Go ahead. Oh.
No, yeah. Okay, guys, I just want to make mention. So just by going out, I don't know how much you've been following. I cannot stop following Connor Bedard. I've been trying not to pay attention. Bedard. This guy, just this last week since we were on, he played an additional. So he played 4 games more. Okay, 4 games this last week, and he now is sitting at 55 games, 70 goals in the WHL, 72 assists for 142 points. In 4 games, he has 6 goals and 8 assists for 14 points. He's like 3.7 points per game this last week. The guy is phenomenal, and I'm telling you, He is doing Eric Lindros numbers in a defensive league, and it doesn't matter on his size. That guy's snapshot. So, Zill, you'll love that. You love your snapshots. That guy has a snapshot, and I bet you that snapshot comes in at 80K, at least 80K on his snapper. I mean, it is amazing. He knows how to pull through screens. Man, I cannot wait to see Team Canada in 2 years and see Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby and Connor Bedard all with Nathan McKinnon playing for the Team Canada. It's going to be awesome, man. And the Pats made the playoffs. Yes, exactly. So we're done, man. We're done. We're out. Mic drop.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again. It's been a rig-a-ding-dang-dee show again. And remember to give us a like, follow, subscribe. Follow Evan at Revenev on Twitter, me at hockey_2. Give us a follow on Facebook, on YouTube. We love hearing from you guys. Get ready for our website. Get ready for more and more hockey content. And Evan,
Awesome.
as always.
Yeah. In the meantime and in between time.
Keep your sticks on the ice and your head up.
Woo!